got the right microphone clicked, right? Testing. Oh, maybe did that help? Got the right microphone. Okay, I think I had the wrong microphone picked. So sorry about that. You sure would like to see Jupiter, huh? Maybe I can show you Jupiter after I read. Okay, you've got sound now. Okay, thank you, Anthony. I think I had something wrong. I had the wrong microphone chose, I think. My bad. So I'm gonna read Enoch, and oh, Davey 313. I'm sorry, totally spaced it. And Calvin E, good to see you. Jeffrey Stevens, good to see you. And Anthony, good to see you. All right, ready? Here we go. Observe ye everything that takes place in the heaven, how they do not change their orbits, and the luminaries which are in the heaven, how they all rise and set in order, each in its season, and transgress not against their appointed order. Behold ye the earth, and give heed to the things which take place upon it, from first to last, how steadfast they are, how none of the things upon earth change, but all the works of God appear to you. Behold the summer and the winter, how the whole earth is filled with water, and clouds, and dew, and rain lie upon it. Observe and see how in the winter all the trees seem as though they had withered and shed all their leaves, except 14 trees, which do not lose their foliage, but retain the old foliage from 2 to 3 years till the new comes. And again, observe ye the days of the summer, how the sun is above the earth, over against it, and you shall seek shade and shelter by the reason of the heat of the sun. And the earth also burns with growing heat, and so you cannot tread on the earth or on a rock because of the reason of its heat. I love Enoch. Observe ye how the trees cover themselves with green leaves and bear fruit. Wherefore give ye heed, and know with regard to all his works, and recognize how he that liveth forever hath made them so. And all his works go on thus from year to year forever, and all the tasks which they accomplish for him, and their tasks change not. But according as God hath ordained, so it is done. I love this. Actually, I'll just keep going a little bit further. And behold how the sea and the rivers in like manner accomplish and change not their tasks from his commandments. And then it gets into something else. But I wanted to read that because that's what this whole conversation is about. I don't know if Deboerium channel, I'm hoping, I sent him a link, and actually I should open up Facebook to make sure that, because I sent him it in there. I don't know if he's busy or not. And then Alan from Flattening Atheism might join us here in a little bit. Oh, cool. Anthony Dickinson got his camera. I see it on Facebook. Just in time for the full moon. That's awesome, man. I bet you're excited. Let's see here. So there's a few things in Enoch that are very interesting. And I'm terrible at the Roman numerals, so it always takes me extra time. Let's see here. Where is it? Oh, just an interesting thing is, I don't know what chapter it is. 67, 65. I better find it because it's interesting. It says that no one noticed. I think it was, no one noticed that the earth was tilted and its destruction was near or something like that. Let's see here. I'll find it. Where is it? Okay, 60. Oh, wait a minute. I think I found something else that I forgot about. If this is the right one, let's see. No, that isn't the right one. That just reminded me of something, though, that I want to read. Okay, let's see. 62. It must be like 65. Yeah, right here. This version doesn't say tilted, but it says, and in those days Noah saw the earth that it had sunk down, and its destruction was nigh. Other versions say, and Noah saw that the earth had inclined, and that his destruction was near, and had tilted. So those are interesting. And then he went to get info from Enoch. Let's see here, though. I was thinking of something, and actually I forgot to double check if my messenger. But yeah, what I read that at the beginning was because anybody talking about flat earth, why are we talking about this in 2019? Why? Because all of our lives, all the way through, we all just automatically knew it was a certain way. No one ever even looked into it. Like, no one ever even did any true science to, hey, there's flattening atheism in the chat. Hey, take your time, man. Take your time. I'm going to read some cool verses, and I just wanted to explain something that I kind of realized today is that this conversation or this debate or whatever that we're talking about, what is it about? What is it about? What are the flat earthers trying to say? They're trying to say that someone is being lied to, and that's the whole world is being lied to. Every single one of us is being lied to. And like the details of that aren't really as important as it might seem. Like whether there's curvature or not, this type of thing. That's like not a thing anymore, because you can, well, actually censoring flat earth. I was just going to say, I just about said, you can go to YouTube and search for, and I'm like, no, you can't. You can't, because I've noticed this just in the last couple months. My videos are like, cause you can see the view, how many views you have and all that stuff. And it's like half of what it used to be on my channel. And every time I'm watching YouTube, the next video is always some corny, like The Guardian or National Geographic or some stupid thing that I guess YouTube wants people to see. And it's really hard to find anything legitimate. But this conversation is prophesied about happening at the end of the world. This is so important. I've been trying to show this to people. This is the Lord, through the prophet Isaiah, prophesied this so clearly that, like, any Christian has to, anyone that believes the Bible has to look deeply at this, because let me get my Bible. There's just 2 verses that prove it, that why flat earth is here and what it is, and it tells us the time that we're living in too. Isaiah, I just turned right to it. That's awesome. Isaiah, well, 1 page away, I guess. Isaiah 48 verse 3. And actually we'll start it at Isaiah, there's 2 verses. Isaiah 43 verse 9, really. I'm going to read that right now. So this is talking about what's going to happen at the end. And where is it? It's verse 6 that says, okay, Isaiah 43 verse 6 says, this is the Lord, thus saith the Lord, I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from far and my daughters from the ends of the earth. So any Christian should realize that this is the Lord speaking. like, I can't really be any clearer. He's saying he's gonna say to the north and the south to not keep back his sons and daughters from the ends of the earth, even everyone that is called by my name, for I've excuse me, for I've created him for my glory. I have formed him, yea, I've made him. Bring forth the blind people that have eyes and the deaf that have ears. Okay, now this is the verse I'm talking about. Isaiah 43, verse 9. Let all the nations be gathered together, and let the people be assembled. Who among them can declare this and show us former things? Let them bring forth their witnesses, that they may be justified, or let them hear and say, it is truth. I think I might have someone here, but let's see here. But maybe not. We'll see. So it says, who among them can declare this and show us former things? Well, that the former things is the thing that the Lord tells us what that is. And it's his creation. It's his 6-day creation. Because he says, where is it? Verse 3. I have 48 verse 3. I have declared the former things from the beginning, and they went forth out of my mouth, and I showed them. I did them suddenly, and they came to pass. That's talking about the creation. So the 6-day creation, the Lord said he's going to call his sons and daughters from the ends of the earth, and all the nations will be gathered together. Who among them can declare this and show us this 6-day creation, the former things? That is the most solid flat earth prophecy that I've ever. It's just so simple. It's the former things. What are former things? Well, sounds like it could be a lot of things, but it's not. It says I have. Oh yeah, let's see. There's more. I'll keep reading a little bit. Okay, I've declared the former things from the beginning, and they went forth out of my mouth, and I showed them, and I did them suddenly, and they came to pass. Because I knew that thou art obstinate, and thy neck is an iron sinew, and thy brow brass. I have even from the beginning declared it to thee by the word of God, In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Okay, I have even from the beginning declared it to thee. Before it came to pass, I showed it thee. Lest thou should say, mine idol, my idol hath, my idol hath done them. And my graven image and my molten image hath commanded them. That's saying like, hey, Chris Rock, how you doing? And SurfEv 2010. And Fool Me Not. And Flattening Atheism. Okay, now check this out, you guys. This is verse 6. Thou hast heard, see all this, and will not ye declare it? ? I have showed thee new things from this time, even hidden things, and thou didst not know them. This is specific, you guys. This is talking about God's 6-day creation, the biblical account of creation, what Moses wrote, Ezra chapter 6, I think, or 2nd Ezra chapter 6, I think is another account. It's how God created the heavens and the earth and all the things that exist. And it says, they are created now and not from the beginning, even before the day when thou heardest them not, lest thou should say, behold, I knew them. Yea, thou heardest not, yea, thou knewest not. Yea, from that time that thine ear was not opened, for I knew that thou wouldst deal very treacherously, and was called a transgressor from the womb. For my name's sake I will defer mine anger, and for my praise I will refrain for thee, that I cut thee not off. Behold, I have refined thee, but not with silver. I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction. It says a lot about a lot of people, me included. For mine own sake, even for mine own sake, will I do it. For how should my name be polluted? And I will not give my glory to another. Hearken unto me, O Jacob and Israel, my called. I am he. I am the first. I am also am the last. Mine hand also hath laid the foundation of the earth, and my right hand hath spanned the heavens. When I call unto them, they stand up together. All ye assemble yourselves and hear. Which among them hath declared these things? The Lord hath loved him. He will do his pleasure on Babylon, and his arm shall be on the Chaldeans. I, even I, have spoken. Yea, I have called him. I have brought him, and he shall make his way prosperous. Come ye near unto me. Hear ye this. I have not spoken in secret from the beginning. From the time that it was, there am I. And now the Lord God and his Spirit hath sent me. Thus saith the Lord, thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. I am the Lord thy God, which teacheth thee to profit, which leadeth thee by the way that thou shouldest go. Oh, that thou hadst hearkened to my commandments, then had thy peace been as a river, and thy righteousness as the waves of the sea. Okay, I kind of just kept reading there, but do you guys understand what he's talking about? He's talking about right now. Oh, cool. There's a bunch of stuff going on in the chat. Folks, Brian, welcome. Good to see you guys. Oh boy, I just read your comment about evolution and the Bible coexisting. That's a tough one, huh? It's just like a closed off thing in their mind. And I have one of those too. I mean, there's one thing that's really crazy to me. What is Satan's plan, or the Antichrist, or whatever? What's Satan's plan? It's to ascend into heaven. And then Nimrod did that with the Tower of Babel, and God came down and he said, the people is one, like they're all one language, and this is what they do. And so he confounded their language, because in their hearts they were wicked. Okay, in their hearts they had Satan's heart. They had Lucifer's heart. Right in here in the same book, Isaiah. I'll just read right here. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. There's only one thing that exists to people in this world that's up there. There's only one thing. And that's the thing that I've been telling people for a long time, is the beast. It's the eighth wandering star that John saw that Enoch didn't see. Or it wasn't there when Enoch went there, when Enoch wrote about that prison. But let's see here. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. 3 times he says he's going to ascend in that little section. And so then Nimrod and his that family did that. They ascended. And if you read the book of Jasher, chapter 9, which I think I'm not going to read it because I just made a video about it, but they had in their hearts like 3 different kinds of wickedness, and it listed it out. One of them wanted to climb into heaven, or ascend into heaven, and place their own gods there and worship them. And then they all wanted to ascend into heaven and challenge God in their hearts. And so in 2019, when we are opening our eyes, God's revealing things to us. He sent his Holy Spirit down from heaven. It's proceeding from the Father, and it's showing us the truth, right? I mean, I know a lot of you guys can see the truth. So, and I'm very specific when I'm talking about the truth. I'm talking about biblical account of creation, the 6-day creation. And like guys like Kent Hovind, I love that guy, but he's not getting it. He's still not believing in the world that God made. He's believing in the world that existed when we were born, you know? Like, I guess like if you were born into a pack of wolves out in the wilderness, but you never saw any other thing, you'd be like, man, I sure don't look like my brothers and sisters, you know? I'm like, I don't know. I just think that we were born into our environment. And so space travel seems like exploration. It just does. But let's believe what the Word of God says, like literal things, you guys. Darkness is such an important thing because right above us in space, or the night sky, where they say it's like a vacuum, and it's hot and it's cold and it's all these weird things. Well, the Bible has a place like that too, or I should say Scripture, because Enoch really goes into detail about that place. But that place is Babylon the Great, you guys. You just listen to. It's a prison for fallen angels, and it's the darkness. So, like, if I have the lights on, or the sun and moon are there, or the stars are there, and they're putting light on something, that's light. It's not darkness, but the darkness part, like the darkness itself, it's a literal thing. And I understand we could say, oh, that's the powers of, or the powers of darkness or something, and we'd be referring to evil or something. But this is a literal thing in addition to that. So it's this is Revelation 18 verse 2. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. And if you look at the check this out. Think of space. What are we saying about space? That it's a big lie. It's not. They think they're climbing into heaven, but they're not. They're climbing into the bottomless pit. They're climbing into the abyss of fire. And I'm not saying we can see the columns of fire falling, but Enoch could. And he described being where those, he said beyond that was those 7 planets, those wandering stars. And then when John went in Revelation 17, he says he sees the same 7 mountains. That's what Enoch called these planets, because they were rolling over this fire, this abyss of fire. They're rolling over it like being punished or whatever, or because they're bound there. And he's told that that's the prison for the host, or the stars and the host of heaven. Okay, so when they go up into space, where are they going? They're going into the prison for the stars and the host of heaven. And 2 Peter, I think it is, calls it hell. Yeah, I think it's 2 Peter 2 verse 4 maybe. For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment. Jude echoes this right here. Raging waves of the sea, foaming out of their own shame, wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. So that's 3 verses right there. I just read that darkness is hell. So, and Revelation 9, verse 11, it tells what's going on. I mean, it's really clear, and we can verify it with things happening in our world for the last 50 years or so. Let's see here. Okay. Because here's what I've been saying, you guys, and this is important. Because I see Chris Rock's in here, and it's good to see you here. We live in the last days. That's what I believe. But I wish he'd change gears, if you will. I'm not sure. I haven't been keeping up on the chat. So, what do you mean, what's the issue? Maybe I got to go check out the chat. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, evolution. Let's see here. Check out the depths of the ocean.
Hello, hello.
He who says that Jesus has not come in the flesh is Antichrist. That's true. Let's see. What is the question about if it's literal or not? What's the issue? Are you referring? I'm guessing if you're talking to, or kind of asking me, I'm guessing you're referring to like the darkness, possibly, whether it's literal or not. And that's what I'm trying to say is, like, basically, when in the beginning or whatever, darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters or whatever. So the darkness was here, like that was, yeah, I'm not saying it was here first or something. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying that it's a very literal thing that is, we've talked, or we look at it every night, and when we look up, there's stars but there's, and then that's another thing, of part of the literal part. I don't remember which verse it says it a couple times in the Old Testament. It says he bowed the heavens, and came down, and darkness is under his feet. So, like in a literal sense, there, God's throne is in heaven there, and then that darkness is, it's kind of, I'm picturing it kind of like, it's a physical thing, but it's not like a place. It's a celestial place, but it's not. I'm not saying it's the high heaven or something. It's a prison in heaven. So it's Enoch. Actually, I'll go to that really quick. Enoch says that Enoch says that the spirits of heaven, in heaven shall be their dwelling. And although they were buried in the earth for 70 generations, ultimately they would be imprisoned up in this, where the stars and the host of heaven are imprisoned. Where is that? Chapter 10? No, that's chapter 15, I believe. Yeah, these fallen angels, they are up in the sky, and they're defiling mankind from up there and leading us astray into sacrificing to demons as gods. That's Enoch chapter 19. But 13, oh man, I'm terrible at Roman numerals. Okay. Where is it? Okay, as for the spirits of heaven, in heaven shall be their dwelling, but for the spirits of the earth which were born upon the earth shall be their dwelling. And it's more like complicated than that, but that's a simple way to put it. They came down from celestial to terrestrial, or whatever you'd call it, to the earth. And so, and then mixed the seed of or angels with women, human women. So it was a problem, and that was another problem. Why was it a bad thing? Why was it a bad thing that they were climbing into heaven with the Tower of Babel? What was that? Those were the it's a spiritual thing happening. It's I didn't finish what I was in Revelation 9:11 for. Sorry. Apollo, that's who's in charge of this. That's what space travel is. So let's do this. Actually, I should probably try to be keeping up with the chat a little bit. But let's see here.
Hey Joe, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I'm sorry. Have you been there for a while?
A few minutes. It's all right. I didn't want to interrupt your flow.
I think you're a little quiet. Let me hold on just a second. Oh, there we are. I can see you now. Welcome.
Hi. Let's see if I can get my mic a little closer.
Yeah, there we go.
Hang on a second. I'll be right back.
No problem.
What's this thing?
I'll read that verse I was trying to read. Let's see. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name the angel of the bottomless pit. What I'm trying to point out is the angel of the bottomless pit is in heaven, or it's in the sky, I'll say. So when the beast comes up out of the bottomless pit, it's up there, and that should keep in mind. I was saying there's only one thing that they claim is up there, like a place to live. Think about it. Whose name in Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. And then, so what are the Apollo missions? It's like the bow and the arrow, and you just have a rocket and you're shooting it up there. It's Apollyon. So ascending into heaven, that's what the fornication is, the kings of the earth. Where's that verse? I gotta find it. Or wait, check this out. Okay, so the two witnesses given their testimony in Revelation 11. And the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them and shall overcome them and kill them. What if that's talking about the space station? It makes sense. Because, hey, you're back.
Yep.
Good to see you, Alan. Haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah, you too.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, so what I'm just gonna stop at where I was at and say hi to you, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah. I've been chilling out the last couple of weeks. It's summertime, so
yeah, and then you got the family to hang out with too. So
yep, family's crazy.
Yeah.
2.5 twin boys and a 7-year-old girl, and yeah, they're getting kind of crazy tonight too. And wife's not feeling too well, so she might come in here and yank me out in a minute. But
okay, well, thanks for showing up anyway. So what have you been up to as far as like your studies or like what you're learning and stuff? Just curious.
Yeah. I mean, I still have my website, still waiting for someone to, step up to the challenge, which no one has. There was a guy that wanted to debate me earlier this week, and I contacted him. He contacted me back in March and said he wanted to do something in June. And so I got in touch with him a few days before, said, hey, are we still doing this? And never heard back from him again. So that's the latest on the.
That was I saw one of your videos today. There was a short one.
Oh,
and that was about that, wasn't it? Kind of.
Yeah, I just kind of went over that briefly.
Yeah.
But I am working on kind of a big project with. I mean, this is just a little side thing. For all those who out there who don't know, I'm a musician also, and um, I'm
Talented one. I
yes,
like your music.
and I'm the pianist at my church. So I just had this idea that I wondered about our church hymnal, which has about 500 hymns in it, and I was just kind of wondering if there had ever been um, a recording done of all of the background, all the accompaniment piano tracks for the entire hymn book. And from what I understand, it hasn't been done yet. So this summer, I'm cranking through 500 hymns and recording every one of them for mainly because I come from a small church, and I'm sure other churches around aren't don't have the advantage of a worship team, so they can just play that and then they
You
can do
should.
their hymns. And for anyone else that just for their own devotional purposes that want to sing hymns, I just figured it'd be nice to do. So anyway, I've been working on that
Yeah,
this summer.
that's something that you should almost make available for, it's funny that it seems like um when you work on a project like that, sometimes it doesn't seem like anybody's paying attention to anything,
Hmm.
but but till later on, like I've noticed that after a while, after the project's done and you've just it's been like a little like a huge project and you're like, oh, it's kind of nice to have that completed. It's tiring and everything, but a short period of time goes by and you look back on it and you go, well, that was a lot of work, um but it was just a small thing. But then when you go back and you look at how many people would watch something like that
Yeah.
over the time while you're forgetting it, it's definitely worth doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
um if anybody hears it. So
And it has been one of those projects. It's a project that I've actually been, interested and excited in doing for a well, it's been a while since I've been this interested and excited about doing something. A lot of musical projects that I have are usually, some guys getting together wanting to do something real fast, and it's all enjoyable. But this one, there's something, special about it because it's all those old school hymns. It's the I if you're not a musician, or for everyone listening who's not a musician, this probably won't mean much, but in music theory, the hymns were all written in kind of like an old school purity fashion, like, and I'm talking about the actual harmonic frequencies that are used.
oh, okay.
There's an essence about it that is really unique. That the way that it's written, a lot of time and effort went into the actual notes that were written down, not just the words. And that's where we get that characteristic, that quality, that hymn quality comes from. It's hard to describe for someone in a short period of time, but yeah.
They have
Anyway,
a different sound, like the whole different sound to them.
yeah. It's if I guess I could say it this way, like most people have heard of Bach. He's
Yeah.
the father of all Western civilization music, and all of these hymns have a very Bach quality to them. They're that kind of like raw, bare bones potency.
Hmm.
And anyway, that's what makes them enjoyable to play through, even though to a person who isn't aware of what they're listening to, they do sound a little bit kind of old school and bland. But compared to a lot of other stuff that you hear, it's there's a purity and an innocence to it, if I had to describe it musically.
Yeah, and it's not complicated, I guess is what I'd say.
It's not complicated, but it's difficult to play. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
Like,
I'm sure. I
yeah.
guess what I mean is um I'm thinking like just in the back of my mind, there's a lot of repeated verses. It seems like the
Mhm.
words, I mean, are you know,
Yeah.
but yeah, I like your guitars and violin and all that stuff back there. That's cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So did you notice that Enoch uh saw what made the heavens fall?
I jumped in just a minute ago. Where were you?
I
Enoch
didn't
what?
get to that yet, but it's just something that is shocking that I don't think a lot of people have really um, seen yet. But here, I'll give you my take on it. Uh, Enoch sees, he says a host of wagons, or another version is chariots or whatever. He sees something. I'll just say something riding, or with men riding on it, like on the wagons or whatever. He sees something riding, and they're riding on the winds, the four winds. And the noise, should I just read it? It's only like 2 or 3 verses.
All right.
I guess it's like, it doesn't sound like really much until you really think about what he's actually saying. And he's describing he's describing the day that earthquake is going to happen. And when the sky rolls back like a scroll, that we all know about that.
Yeah.
These Roman numerals again, I'm sorry. I printed out some books. I printed out the book of Enoch and part of the book of Jasher and a couple other ones. And I love that so much more than reading it online, because it's like I can hold it in my hand. There's something different about that. Okay, ready? Here's Enoch 57. It's just 3 or 4 verses. And it came to pass after this that I saw another host of wagons and men riding thereon, and coming on the winds from the east and from the west to the south. And the noise of their wagons was heard. And when this turmoil took place, the holy ones from heaven remarked it, and the pillars of the earth were moved from their place. And the sound thereof was heard from one end of heaven to the other in one day. And they all shall fall down and worship the Lord of spirits. This version is even a little different than the other one. The other one is the audio one that I've listened to on YouTube. I can't remember exactly what it says. I'm trying to say. Oh, go ahead.
And they shall all fall down and worship the Lord of spirits. They're talking about the inhabitants of earth right there.
That's what I'm getting. Well, I think that's talking about everyone. Like, that's kind of like saying every knee will bow, I think. Mm-hmm. But right before that chapter is when it says, in those days the angels shall return and hurl themselves to the east upon the Parthians and Medes. They shall stir up the kings, so that a spirit of unrest shall come upon them. They shall rouse them from their thrones. Okay, verse 6 in chapter 56, I believe. This is crazy. And they shall go up and tread underfoot the land of his elect ones. Well, the land of his elect ones is New Jerusalem, right? Or heaven?
I suppose, yeah.
And then it says, where is this? No, there's another chapter where Enoch sees this happening too. It's the noise, and the 4 winds. Oh, that's what it was. The 4 winds is Enoch sees all and learns about the treasuries of the winds or whatever in chapter 18. I saw the treasuries of all the winds. I saw how he had furnished them, or with them, the whole creation and the firm foundations of the earth. And I saw the cornerstone of the earth. I saw the 4 winds which bear the earth and the firmament of the heaven. And I saw how the winds stretch out the vaults of heaven and have their station between heaven and earth. These are the pillars of heaven. And I saw the winds of heaven which turn and bring the circumference of the sun and all the stars to their setting. I saw the winds on the earth carrying the clouds. I saw the paths of the angels. I saw the end of the firmament of heaven above. Wow. What do you think?
For me, it's really hard to wrap my head around all that stuff.
Yeah,
try to figure out exactly what he's talking about. It overwhelms me a lot.
Guess the point that I would be making is, it's shocking to me that he saw whatever he saw, wagons or whatever, with men riding on riding on them on the 4 winds. Because that's the reason I should probably bring that up. The reason why it's so kind of shocking to me is because in the end, for in Daniel's vision and in Revelation, it's right when those people are going to get sealed, before they get sealed in their forehead. Revelation 7 says, and after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt this earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. So that's why I'm saying we're being sealed in our foreheads. The seal of the living God is biblical cosmology. It's his creation. It's what he declared at the beginning. That's what I believe.
Yeah. Well, it'll take me some time to.
So
Especially with the Book of Enoch, there's one thing that really bothers me, and I'm trying to find a way to. Well, I'm trying to find
to
a way.
understand what.
Well, not only to understand, but there's a discrepancy that at least, unless I'm reading it wrong, but it talks about, I think it's in 106, about how Lamech and the birth of Noah.
Oh, and how he was scared.
And how he was what?
How he was scared and went to ask Enoch what. He's like, this isn't my. He's white and like.
Well, and the fact that he talked to Enoch at all, because in Genesis, Enoch dies before, or not dies, but Enoch is taken up before Noah is born.
Yeah, well, this was Enoch was like available, is what I would say. Because in that chapter, I believe did you say that was 106? Because I think in that chapter he had to go to where was it Enoch that he was, or yeah, it was Enoch, wasn't it? Or was it I'll have to look here. But I know what you're talking about. And we should actually look at that.
So here's 106 verse 12. At least
Okay.
this might be a good starting spot. And he arose in the hands of the midwife and opened his mouth and blessed the Lord of heaven. And his father Lamech became afraid and fled to me, and did not believe did not believe that he was sprung from him, but that he was in the likeness of the angels of heaven. And behold, I have come to thee, that thou mayest make known to me the truth. And I, Enoch, answered and said unto him, the Lord will do a new thing on earth, and this I have already seen in a vision, and make known to thee that in the generation of my father Jared, some of the angels of heaven transgressed the word of the Lord.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to ask you, what verse were you in that chapter?
That was 106:12.
Oh, okay. And his father Lamech. Okay, yeah. I'll have to find it, but there is a place where it says Enoch. I don't know the exact wording it used, but that in those days Enoch was dwelling with the angels, like that was his where he lived, and he would hide himself. Or that's actually in the book of Jasher. That is. That's what it was. Maybe I can find that. But see, that what's interesting to me too is that there's a place in Enoch where I think it was Noah, like he had to go to the north or something, and and he was like crying out to Enoch. He was like, "Hear me, hear me, hear me," and then Enoch, like an angel would, came to him or whatever. I don't know the exact wording, but I'll have to find that. Unless I'm hoping that it's not this one right here. I don't see it. Oh, wait. Oh, right here. And now, my father, I am here to petition thee and implore thee that thou mayest go to Enoch our father and learn from him the truth, for his dwelling place is among the angels. That's verse 6 and 7.
Hmm.
And when Methuselah heard the words of his son, he came to me to the ends of the earth, for he had heard that I was there, and he cried aloud. Yeah, he heard that from Noah, I think, if I'm thinking of this right. Is Lamech
Noah's father.
Noah's father? Okay, then that makes sense then, because in a because later on, then that would have been later on, because Noah was the one that Lamech was crying about or was scared about, right? Yeah, right here in this. Okay, yeah. For some reason, I'm getting it like the generations a little bit mixed up in my head, but so Lamech had Noah, and then Lamech looked at him and said, "This is like, I think this is from an angel," and so he went to. Is Methuselah Lamech's father?
Yes.
And then Enoch is Methuselah's father.
Mm-hmm.
And so did he go to Methuselah or did he go to Enoch, straight to Enoch?
I think Lamech went straight to Enoch.
Okay. Or wait. Oh no, actually I just read that now that okay, verse 8. And when Methuselah heard the words of his son, he came to me at the ends of the earth. So Enoch is like, it's from Enoch's person writing it, or you know what I mean? So he's saying that once Methuselah heard, Methuselah went to, I think it was Methuselah that went to Enoch.
So, like, what crosses my mind is that means this book had to have been written after Enoch was taken up.
Okay. I'm
Because
trying to
he's saying,
comprehend what you're saying.
because Enoch is saying, well, all this stuff happened, and so after all this stuff happened, I wrote it down.
Well,
So,
yeah, I see what you're saying now. This is a fragment of the book of Noah, is what it says. It's in the book of Enoch.
oh, I think you're right.
But that doesn't. But it seems to be written from Enoch's point of view, doesn't it?
True.
So I don't. That is something I don't understand. But in the book of Jasher, it does have something to say about that. Where is that? Because I think it's in the book of Jasher. Am I thinking of this right? Let's see. I can't remember where it is. Too many books. Oh yeah, no, it's in here. Okay, I don't want to waste time there, but.
So just another question. Well, since it's on my mind, your buddy, did that not happen?
I don't know. I have no idea. I like usually on Facebook I can get a hold of him anytime, and I'm going there right now. He must be out or something.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because yeah, he didn't even look at the message yet that I sent him. You know, you can see the little icon if they looked at it, or it says seen. So yeah, he hasn't even seen that, and I don't think I have his email. But I also sent him or I also commented on something, but he must be, I'm guessing, at working, or I have no idea. But
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, you know what we could do? Like, this is something that I've always wanted to do, is to do like kind of like what you have on your website. You have a challenge for anybody who can provide proof of curvature, or what was it? Proof of the heliocentric model, or what?
Yeah, the scientific experiment that shows a spinning sphere, or
Okay.
in Neil Tyson's perspective, a spinning pear.
Yeah, space pair. Because I think it would be fun. I think it would be a lot of fun sometime to just go live and to just sit here until and obviously I have a small channel, but to sit here and just say, well, let's look at the chat and let's just see who can provide proof for rotation of the earth. Any kind of proof that anything at all.
Yeah.
Anything.
most
because
of them are going to be people talking about the stars.
no, I know, and
Yeah.
that's where here's what I think is important, or sort of important to realize. If Earth doesn't rotate, then there's no heliocentric model. There's no, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And if it, if Earth doesn't rotate, because it doesn't. I'm just saying, where's the evidence? Who thought this up? Who came up with this junk? I don't get it.
Yeah, the rotation.
Yeah, I really don't understand. Where could someone come up with the idea that the Earth is rotating?
I suppose that's a good question. Where it
Because when
started, yeah.
if anybody points up at the sky, I sort of understand what they're saying, but they're actually removing themselves from the Earth and picturing themselves living in space, looking
Well,
down on
yeah,
the Earth,
I would
because that's not
assume.
where they live.
Yeah, I would assume
Everything is
most
relative to
people.
us. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I would
I
assume most people would just have, before all of this, let's say a couple thousand years ago,
oh,
is going around us and
I
not.
think you cut out for a second there. I don't know what happened.
Are we back?
Oh, yep, yep.
So
Sorry.
I would assume, just as a curious human, a couple thousand years ago, I think everyone would just say, well, the sky is going around us, or the stuff in the sky is going around us. That just seems to make most sense, like most obvious sense, and not
It's
that
like
we're.
the burden of proof would be to on someone to because that's what we observe is, you know what I mean? We're just
Yeah,
observing, but we've kind of been trained to think differently about it.
yeah, and I really don't think we ever will know what in the world's going on up there. Like,
I think honestly, like Jesus said, um, how can you believe, or I don't want to, I'm not quoting him, it's just I'm paraphrasing it, but how are you going to believe uh earthly things, or if I'm screwing it up. I better look it up.
yeah, something to the effect of, if I tell you, yeah, if I tell
Earthly
you earthly
things.
things that you don't believe, how are you going to believe in heavenly stuff?
Yeah,
Which
that's the one.
the intent of that scripture was a little different because he was dealing with the Pharisees, but
Well, he
yeah,
was talking to Nicodemus about being born again and about wasn't he? Or no, maybe not.
no, I think he was talking to the Pharisees at the time, but it was, well,
Okay.
Nicodemus was a Pharisee, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
He was being challenged at the time, from what I remember, with something.
Let's see
It might
here.
have been Nicodemus.
It's I think it's I think it's in chapter 5. Let's see here. 5 verse 45, I think. Oh yeah, because he's or no, that's about Moses, believing Moses's words, which is Moses wrote Genesis. So it must be in John 3 if I'm thinking of the right one. Oh yeah, verse 12. Yeah, he's talking about being born again, dude. It says, I'll start in verse 11. This is a very significant verse, even though some people might not realize it. Verily, verily, I say unto thee, we speak that we do know, and testify that we have seen, and ye receive not our witness. If I have told you earthly things, and ye believe not, how shall you believe if I tell you of heavenly things? So I say that right now he's telling us of heavenly things, and it takes time for us to learn. That's what I believe.
Yeah, possible. Why do I get a feeling like there's a verse that says that essentially we're not allowed to know about this stuff?
Uh there there is there's we are now is what I would say. That would be the way to say it. That um there's something that nobody realizes, that really there's the grace, God's grace, it comes at the end. And the by that grace comes the revelation of Jesus Christ. So what I'm saying is the thing that's been revealed to us, the truth that's been revealed to us, that is the grace of God. That is the mystery, the grace that's to be brought to us at the revelation of Jesus Christ. I got so many verses that speak to that. Like Romans 11:25. For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part is happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. See that here's what I'm saying. I'll just be blunt as I can. Flat Earth came down from heaven. That's what the Holy Spirit showed us. It's a gospel. It's a gospel to preach, because let me back up what I'm saying with scripture. Paul wrote about this a lot. Howbeit, 1 Corinthians 2 verses 6-8. Howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are perfect, yet not the wisdom of this world, nor of the princes of this world that come to naught, but we speak the wisdom of God in a mystery, even the hidden wisdom, which God ordained before the world unto our glory, which none of the princes of this world knew, for had they known it, they would have not crucified, or they would have not crucified the Lord of glory, or they would not have. I'm sorry. Ephesians 3 verse 3, how that by revelation he made known unto me the mystery. And then where's the First Peter is really clear about it. Where's that one? First Peter 1 verses 12 and 13. Unto whom it was revealed that not unto themselves, but unto us they did minister the things which are now reported unto you by them that have preached the gospel unto you with the Holy Ghost sent down from heaven, which things the angels desire to look into. Wherefore, gird up the loins of your mind, be sober, and hope for the end, for the grace that is to be brought unto you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. Full of grace and truth. So, and I know a lot of people get the wrong idea about that, but I get a lot of people telling me that I'm obsessed with flat Earth, or that I've turned it into an idol or something, and I'm trying to say, no, it's not that. It's that flat Earth it's how people overcome in the book of Revelation. It's how they overcome that beast that I was talking about earlier. The only thing that's up in the sky that that even the pulpits worship, like the pastors at the pulpits worship it. When they're talking about flat Earth, they're like, flat Earth is so stupid. I can see the space station with my naked eye. That's the beast coming up out of the bottomless pit and killing our witness, or our testimony. I mean, like all the people, God's sons and daughters.
Well, I can understand what you mean by that.
I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not trying to talk anybody anything. I'm just basically, he's making me understand, and a lot of other people, he's making us understand what wickedness is. Like this world didn't know the sin that they were involved in. We didn't know how until he revealed it to us. Like, it's taken a few years to understand it, but I think it's supposed to take about 1,260 days.
Wow. Wow.
What if we said this? Do you believe that we're living in the last days?
Yep.
Okay. So
I believe it, and I hope really badly that we are.
yeah, me too. But let me say what's interesting, and this is something that too many people don't maybe correlate or connect. And it's this: if a person sees the things around them or whatever, and if they get the idea, oh yeah, we're living in the last days, well, there's a way that you can know about everything that's happening, and it's already written about in here. Like, but it's written about in a way that's not really easy to understand, like a normal conversation would be. It
Yeah.
comes by the Spirit. Like, put it this way: in the book of Revelation, at the end, when those four winds are being, the angel says, "Don't hurt the sea or anything until we seal the servants of our God in their foreheads." What I'm trying to say is that flat Earth is the seal of the living God, and it's in our foreheads. And so what I'm also saying when I say that is I'm saying that Jesus is flying with the clouds of heaven, and he sent his angels out to gather his elect, and we're living in that right now. I'm just saying, I didn't think about it when I read that in Matthew or wherever the gospel account of Jesus coming with the clouds of heaven and in great glory. Well, that's not at the same time when it says every eye will see him. So, and then if we look at Jude quotes Enoch, and he says that he cometh with 10,000s of his saints to bring judgment or whatever. So what I'm starting to believe or starting to understand is that the people that have their name written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, those are the people in Revelation who overcome that beast by the word of their testimony, and they love not their own lives to the death. I think that is what faith is. And let me give an example what I mean. When you told someone, or when you made your Flattening Atheism channel, or when you told your family or whatever, that you said, I think, and you basically break the news to someone what you've been studying, and you say, I believe something different is the truth now. And you however you explain it, but that first time you do that, you know what you're actually doing? That's faith, because you didn't know what you were getting yourself into, right?
Well, yeah. Yeah, in a sense, I suppose you're right.
I had no idea. And at the same time, I was like, oh, this is so obvious. It's so easy to tell. And so, the first people I tell, they're like, what's wrong with you, man? You need help. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why? Why would I need help? And I guess what I'm saying is we're speaking in a tongue that they can't speak. It's a new tongue. And we are taking on serpents, and we're casting out devils, and not in the way that Jesus cast out devils. We're doing it in a different way, because where's that, Matthew 18 maybe? I better look it up. Talking about binding demons, or what we bind on the earth, and then what we is bound on the earth, or bound in heaven, and then what is loosed on the earth is loosed in heaven.
Yeah, I can say that in my experience, I have not brought up a topic that has had as much hatred as the topic of Jesus with people that is flat earth. All the other controversial stuff like, abortion and capital punishment and all the stuff that people bicker about, nothing will turn someone into an enemy for you or will divide faster than flat earth as much as Jesus. I mean, Jesus said, if they hated me,
Yeah.
they'll hate you too for loving me. I think it's very, very similar with flat earth.
Well, and then the fact that Jesus said that to his disciples, he said, and ye shall also bear witness to the because you've been with me from the beginning. So that correlates with Revelation, where it says where there's the book of life from the foundation of the world. Those are the people that when they see the beast, when they behold the beast, they don't wonder at it. To me, that's just obvious. You can watch the space station with your eyes, and you can decide in your mind what you believe it is, right? That's about what I'm saying is I've filmed it. It looks like the thing they say it is, but God said that's his throne, And also God said at the end there would be a man blaspheming his tabernacle and speaking great blasphemies, and there'd be a beast and an image. Like, to me, I'm like, Paul wrote about that very specifically when he said professing themselves to be wise, they became fools and changed the glory of God into an image that was made like corruptible things. So, what's the glory of God? Like, I'm not saying it's only this, but to me, it's His creation. It's the material and physical world that we experience we live our entire lives in. That's part of the glory of God, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And if we listen to a lie instead of that, Paul again in Second Thessalonians said that those who didn't believe the truth and had pleasure in unrighteousness, they're damned. So I take it very seriously when, and I'm not ripping on anybody, but when people do say that flat Earth is anything negative that they say about flat Earth, or if they're trying to compare flat Earth with Jesus, like a competition or something, they're just not understanding that flat Earth came down from heaven. That's about the best way I can say it. And if it didn't come down from heaven, where did it come from? That's the question of the century. I know where it came from.
Yeah, but I mean,
What do you think?
flat Earth. I mean, the one that we have in the last few years is just a recent phenomenon because of the internet. But like in the 1800s and stuff, I mean, there were a lot of people who still didn't believe in the globe Earth.
Exactly. This last 50 years and maybe even like a close to like a couple hundred years, we've left the belief in God and become an
Yeah,
apostate world. Like we've abandoned God.
yeah,
There nobody knowing Him. What does it say? Paul was really kind of descriptive on that too in Romans. He kind of explained how our relationship with God would be. Um, let's see. It was, where is this? It said something about knowing God, but not giving Him glory. Oh yeah, verse 21 in chapter 1 of Romans. Because that when they knew God, they glorified Him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish hearts was darkened. So I'm not saying that people aren't Christians or that people don't love God or that they're not um, that they don't have a relationship, that they don't have Jesus in their. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that in the time we live in, we've been dulled to the point of no comprehension. Like the scriptures weren't open to our minds, and so this is the grace of God. These last few years, and I'm just going to use myself as an example. My life has been consumed with scripture and learning about it, and that's probably the best way to say it. I've been consumed by it, and I want, like, it's something that I can't change, and I'm not gonna change. Uh, I He's making me understand things that I just had no comprehension of before, and I know you're in the same boat, and a lot of
yeah,
people
yeah. No, I would agree for sure. It's kind of the Bible for me was kind of like I found a math book written in a different language. And so I could still use
yeah.
a lot of the numbers and I could still make a lot of things work out, but I couldn't understand what any of the explanations are. And Flat Earth made that transition for me with the Bible. Now it felt like I was reading it in the biblical language. For most of it, at least. There's still some parts that are, super mysterious, but
Well, and that's the thing, is it takes time for us to each learn the things He wants us to learn. Um, and it seems to me like it's a really slow process of learning sometimes. Like I get impatient and I'm like, why am I not understanding something, um, because I guess what does it matter for someone who sees flat Earth, what does it matter if they're going to tell other people about it or not? Do you think that matters?
Oh yeah. Like the way I thought about it was for you and for anyone else that might have happened to have seen that movie way back in the day, The Fugitive with
Oh
Harrison
yeah, with
Ford.
Harrison Ford, right?
Yeah. So there's a
Yeah.
time where he's talking on the phone with the cop, and he says, he was investigating some stuff in this house. And he says, I haven't solved it yet, but I just found a really big piece, and he puts the phone down without hanging it up. Anyway, I think flat Earth is real similar with the Bible. Yeah, it's not really giving you everything you need to know, but it is one gigantic piece because all of the information that's contained within flat Earth study is already, biblical creation.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
just confirming what I mean. The heliocentric model is so beyond incompatible with the Bible. I still can't today figure out, like, with people who are in church, like I was like, why are you doing this to yourself? like, like it's just even before I even had like, well, before the flat Earth,
Because
revelation, I
you're
was an
familiar.
atheist. Well, yeah, I was an atheist, and I was growing up in church, and I was still asking myself, why are you guys doing this to yourself? Why are you telling me and everyone else? You're all talking to each other, talking about a round, spinning sphere Earth, and you're still holding this Bible like it's the most important thing in your life. And they kept talking about Jesus, and I'm like, okay, well, I get that, but you got this big toothache that you got to take care of because it is so incompatible. And so, yeah.
It's well, you know what? One interesting thing is, what did you? What was the major thing you changed, or that changed in your understanding that made you say, "Whoa, God is real"? Like, what was that main? If you could do it in so many words, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, as an atheist, when I figured out, okay, if it's flat, there's only so many possibilities. It's either a flat plane that goes on forever, which is really weird, or it's some kind of flying frisbee in the solar system, which in itself is unique, even if that was the case. And, or I said, or it has some kind of boundary, some kind of container. There's really no other explanation. Like you can say, well, maybe it's a cube and we're just on the top part of the cube, but then that doesn't really, it doesn't
Like,
add
why
up.
would
And
you do then?
yeah, or whatever, right? Like you just break it down. There's really only 3 or 4 possibilities. And I said, okay, if it goes on forever, there's not really much reason into looking into it. But even if it does go on forever, that's weird enough itself to be compelling.
Yeah,
And I said, even if that's the case, then there's something really interesting going on there, which means someone had to make it. Basically, when I broke it all down, someone had to make it. Someone had to put it there.
it's
And
designed.
so then
Yeah.
I just started looking into, just on YouTube trying to find, okay, well, I thought the first thing you got to do is at least try to find the oldest source on the matter, even if it's false. And as it turns out, the oldest writings that we have in human history that can be verified is about 5,500 years or so. And it also, which of course is the Bible, but like the oldest writings that we have that aren't the Bible are like ancient, I think Chinese or Japanese or something like that. And that only goes back about 4,500 years. So,
So you kind of got the Bible. I mean,
well,
a
I
major one.
yeah, I said to myself, I said, if this place is flat, then that really does make it a high likelihood that we've actually only been around for a couple thousand years. I mean, there's nothing that would
No
claim
reason.
otherwise.
Yeah,
Just we could have just been here for a couple thousand years. I'm not buying for an instant that we've been here for a couple million years and we just thought about writing stuff down 5,000 years ago. I mean, we would have had in some kind of half ape, half human, retard language somewhere, somewhere doing something. We would have been writing something down, in whatever
yeah.
fashion, even if it was only 100,000 years ago. Like there would have been some transition period, but we don't have that. I mean, even all the even all the Egyptian hieroglyphics are very complicated and sophisticated. So,
That's
anyway,
a big that's a big step to
yeah.
take too, for from where your beliefs were at, in
Mhm.
the time. You're you're obviously searching for truth and whatever, and where you were at was in that atheist section, I guess, or whatever. But that must have been, I'm just saying, to just personally in your mind to admit to yourself, okay, well, if I'm going to be honest with myself, this really looks like it's a good possibility, or what, whatever you said, but it's a very honest thing to do, is what I'm trying to point out.
Yeah, and I don't know if I had the same experience as other people. I was pretty excited about the fact that we've only been around a couple thousand years, instead of a couple
Me too.
million.
I like that idea.
Yeah, and um, the flat Earth revelation destroys the heliocentric model. It destroys evolution. It destroys the old Earth, or the fact that this nonsense that we've been around for
Destroys the false
millions and billions
flag
of years.
idea, like all the, not false flag, but like all these, what do you call it? Conspiracy theories. It
Yeah,
just smushes them all. Like
yeah.
it just explains them all.
It destroys the Big Bang. It destroys the government. It
Yep.
destroys the media. It destroys the education system.
Satan, everybody.
Destroys- Yeah, I mean, even the banking system. Because I used to be big into politics and stuff, and I talk about like the Federal Reserve and all that whatnot. And I'd get I'd have video upon video of all these problems that these people are doing. And I was like, the flat Earth even exposes the banking system, because I thought back and said, well, the world is just basically a big chessboard. I was like, it's not that hard to run this place with just a few people who have a couple $1 trillion at their disposal. I was like, it really would be actually kind of easy,
Well, and
to
then
just control the whole planet.
especially when, like, this is something that I might differ on, like where I'm like, just the way that I think reality is might be different than the status quo, in that I really strongly believe that, like, these astronauts, for example, that they're not telling a single lie, even though the thing they say is the biggest lie that's ever been told. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not like, I'll just use Chris Hadfield for an example, because I made a video about him today. He was talking about how space smells like a burnt steak or brimstone, like a witch was just there. He's a weirdo. You can see the video. It's a minute long on my channel, but he just says some stuff that's really interesting. But I forgot where I was going with that suddenly.
Just speaking the truth and lies at the same time.
Oh, yeah. And then, yeah, never mind. I just think we have to be careful. Like, I would say take everything literal. Like, if in the Bible, if it says up, that means up. If it says under, that means under. If it says light, it means light. Dark means dark. I would say in a literal sense. It's very important right now, I believe. But
yeah, that's true. That's another reason probably why I think we're in the end times, is because language is just breaking down.
Yeah.
It's just everywhere. And
well, and then we have Google Translate too. Like God said in Genesis, I'll look it up here. I don't want to misquote God, but he says the people is one, or whatever, and they have one language.
Yep.
And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they all have one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. With Google Translate, we're climbing into what humans and what we all have been considering to be some exploration universe, and it's actually the bottomless pit. It's the bottomless, it's the prison of heaven. The darkness, like, so literal is what I'm saying, so literal. If I open the window right now, I look up, I see the stars, and I would see the moon, and I would see what else? Darkness, right? Yeah. Literal darkness. So in the beginning, there was darkness on the face of the deep, and God, he said, let there be light, and then there was light, and then a few days later he said, he made two great lights and the stars to put light upon the earth. So he created light the sun, moon, and stars. That's 4 different types of light, or whatever, I guess you'd say. And he created that to light the earth.
While you're
So
on that topic too, when you
yeah,
were asking me earlier, kind of one of the big things that went through my mind when I was first looking into this was of course, like a lot of people, they talk about how they read Genesis 1. And so I went back, of course, and reviewed Genesis 1 and thought, okay, now, first of all, if it's flat and if it was made, then it's much more palatable to suggest that someone made it and they're not restricted by the same kind of, the same kind of stuff we have to deal with, like waiting through time for stuff to finally
mhm.
grow. Or like if it's something that was made, it could just been a guy that went blood out, you know,
Yeah,
boom, first day, like, here's all the stuff I need. Second day, there's what I need. Like it just made a lot more sense to me, almost like as if he was writing a computer program.
I got
Like
something to add to that.
yeah,
I'm not trying to cut you off, but you just said like he's running a computer program.
hmm
And a lot of people have considered, like uh, God could be almost like the designer of some simulation type of, or whatever type of. There's all different ideas, but
hmm
in the book of Revelation, this is interesting. You're gonna like this. Um,
right,
okay, there's the everlasting gospel that the angel comes and preaches to the saints, and the saints preach it to the world. And in Revelation 14, this is awesome, man, because I think that this is. I gotta get a prop in my hand here, just for when the time comes, right? Okay. Um. So these people, it says, chapter 14, verse 1, and I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters and the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps.
yeah,
That's just like when when you look like at the spiritual side um of what flat earth does, even to an individual, and you're a great example, is it changed your life and it brought you to God,
yep.
and it brought you to the Son of God, and to understand the nature that we're living in, and the state that we're in is not anywhere um, near good. It's nothing good, and Jesus is the
Mhm.
only way to cleanse these bodies so that we can change into different bodies, like to have.
And just a note, yeah, just on a practical, from a practical point of view, for anyone who's curious, um, just me watching people testify and witness over my whole life when I was in the church and not a believer, I have found that flat Earth is the most rapid uh, transformation in a person's life to finding Jesus, to finding God, as opposed to people who, all with the best of intentions, say that, well, you have to do it by spending a lot of time, years with a person and showing them the love of Jesus in your life. And that's all true as well. I mean, telling people about flat earth and also not, you know being an example of the grace and truth of Jesus won't do you any good either. But
Oh,
um, what they're trying to do is they're trying to witness and show them an example of the truth and the grace of Jesus over maybe a 6 or 7 year period with someone. And more power to you, but I mean, the people I've
flat
talked
earth
to,
is like boom.
weeks, you know what I mean? And all the effort is usually on the person that you tell it to.
And
Like
you
they're
know
the
why
ones
that
that are
is?
gonna do it.
No, you're
Uh,
right.
yeah.
I was just going to say why that is
Not to
because.
mention also, sorry to interrupt, but
No, go for it.
the people who aren't using the flat Earth, to assist them in bringing others to Jesus, um, you're also, this is before the whole flat Earth revelation. You're spending all these years witnessing maybe one particular person, and you're throwing in all the interference at the same time of the incompatibility of the Bible with their worldview.
Even if it's subconscious, like
Yeah, with their programming of what they learned in school or on the media or in movies or, all that stuff.
that's actually why I say that we're speaking in a new tongue, because um, personally, my family, everyone in my family, they do not understand, they do not comprehend that, and I'm not putting them down. I'm just saying they simply do not comprehend the things that I'm saying, or the world that I'm seeing, that I'm trying to point out, that they do not comprehend it. They'd rather
Mhm.
send me to, like some kind of psychological,
Education camp.
yeah, something like that. And
Uh,
and what I think is interesting about that is that um Jesus like told us all about this, man. Think not that I come to send peace, but a
mhm,
sword. And he said, he's that like the whole time Jesus was here, all those red letters in our Bible, in the Gospels, those are not bound by time. Those words that Jesus said, that there is no such thing as, well, he was saying that then to them. That doesn't apply. That's not how the word of God works. Well, obviously, if he was, if they were standing there and they were talking about uh, a specific thing, like Peter going out in the water or something, then it's a specific thing. But what I'm saying
mhm,
is, when he said that one that I just read, this applies to flat Earth more than anybody realizes. John 3 verse 11. Verily, verily, this is Jesus saying this to his disciples. Verily, verily, I say unto thee, we speak that we do know, and testify that we have seen, and ye receive not our witness. And then I realized that in a conversation with my brother one time, I said that exact thing to him, but not in like Bible words.
mhm.
I said the exact same thing to him. I said, I see something that I know it is true, and I'm telling you, but you can't receive what I'm telling you because it's just so preposterous to you. It's just so far out. And
Yeah.
so what that tells me is actually I'm going to look up something in Zechariah quick, that speaks to this also at the very towards the end of Zechariah. Um, but we're speaking a language that the world can't learn. Like the saints can learn it, and there's not only 144,000 saints in heaven. When John he sees an innumerable multitude in heaven. And but the child is caught up to God. So what I'm saying is, I think right now that child in Revelation 12 is trying to get to a certain number that is the ends up fulfilling the scriptures. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it I'm not saying that
Yeah,
140.
I've entertained that. Yeah, I've entertained that thought before.
I think the 144,000 is just, that number is just the people that God put a seed into, that basically God made them witness something that they had never seen, and that the world had never seen. And then these people are speaking it. And that's what we're seeing right now. And that's why there's even a debate to begin with. That's what I believe.
Hmm.
Because I went 37 or 38 years being a carpenter and doing tons of stuff in my life and never thought about it. And then when I did think about it, I was like, wow, how could I be so deceived? And then that just opens up reality to a person, really. And you're like, wow, there's a lot of lies going on, and they're really easy to believe. They are.
Yeah. I Do you know a guy named Red Pill Philosophy?
Yeah, yeah, I watch his stuff.
So yeah, about two
I
years
don't know him.
yeah, about 2 years ago he had me on his show. I was kind of the first interview he had on Flat Earth. And
Oh, really?
yeah, so I mean, yeah, and so ever since then I've
I like
noticed.
the. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
Go ahead.
ever since then, my wife was like, "Don't bother that guy. He's not gonna pay attention to you. You're gonna sound crazy to him." And told my wife, I said, "Let's just watch for the next year and a half or so, and just watch this downward spiral progression."
He
And
went
sure
from
enough,
he
yeah,
he wa it took him a minute, but he was a globe skeptic for a long time. Now
yep,
he's a flat earther.
yep.
I
And
love that. But
when he
that
said,
right there, that's bearing fruit,
"Yep,
bearing
that's
fruit,
right," and
because
I got a
oh,
feeling I'm gonna keep watching, and I'm just curious in the next year or two if it turns biblical, you know, because
Yeah, hopefully,
I've
hopefully.
talked to him about it before on interviews. I just said, I was like, ultimately, this is going to nag away at you, like a cavity in the
Yes.
back of your molar, and you're going to eventually, it's going to drive you nuts, and you're going to keep looking into it.
I think you
And
used the example like um something with a molar or something.
yep,
It's,
cavity in the back of your molar.
yeah, it's
Yep,
gonna get worse and worse.
yep. And
And
so
then,
he mentioned one time on a live stream that he did where he was just talking to himself, and he mentioned that he was told when he was a young boy, he was asking his dad something, or he was asking his dad about what the world and the universe was, and his dad tried to explain that it goes on forever and that there's billions and billions of stars and all these planets, and told him the same Carl Sagan nonsense that we all heard. And he said that was terrifying. Like he said, why would you ever do that to a small child? Like,
oh man,
why
do
would you ever, like? And so and I mentioned that because you were talking earlier. I can't remember what it was referencing, but basically, it's almost like putting every human through a long. Boy, I don't want to upset people when I say this, but a long period of very mild PTSD. That
okay,
by the
I can
time,
understand.
yeah, by the time you become an adult, you are so angry with the concept of God that
Yeah,
you're so willing to reject him,
yep,
because of this a very long, really mild abuse that a
yes.
child goes through.
And
And
it's not even abuse that anyone knows about. That
yeah,
the people that are teaching, they're not guilty of teaching like in an abusive way. They're
right.
just they believe it themselves.
Yeah, they're
So
caught up in the celebratory kind of like rah rah, our country, whoop de doo,
yeah,
kind of stuff.
and
And
and then that's the thing is that like in the end, if we're living in the last days, we need to recognize. I'm saying if a person believes what the scriptures say, we need to recognize that if we're saying that we're living in the last days, like so many people are saying, that means like I should be able to ask you the question, what's the new song then that people are singing that the world can't learn? What is the seal of the living God that 144,000 people got sealed with? Because these things are in the scriptures. These things are in the it. Like I'm saying, it's not bound. He's not bound by time. The word of God is not bound by time. So anybody that's alive, that's studying the word of God, that has the Spirit, things will be revealed to them that they didn't know before, like truth. So if a person says, okay, this flat earth thing sounds really stupid, but I am not an all-knowing being of God myself. I'm not God. So maybe I should listen to the testimony of these other people saying that they were shocked to find out that we were being lied to or whatever. And if the person can put down the pride of this world that everyone's so clinging on to, and they can open their heart. What does it say in Revelation? Jesus says, he says he's knocking at the door. I got to read this verse. It's Revelation 3, because this is what's happening right now, and people need to take advantage of this gift. It's awesome. It says in Revelation 3, verse 20, it says, behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him and he with me. That's that's literal in a spiritual sense. What I'm saying is if you open the door and if you start listening to the words that he said, he will open your eyes to this truth, because it is the truth. It's the truth. It's the world that God created, and he will show it to you if you believe in him. Like the And then that's another thing too. Believing in him isn't just an act where you say, I believe in God. It's actually believing in the word of God. And I think that this mystery is being revealed to us in the last few years so that people believe, because
what's the
because we
mystery?
stopped believing before we were even born.
I've never known what he was referring to when he says the mystery, like when Paul says the mystery. What's the
Well,
mystery?
that I believe that the mystery is what we're talking about right now. that
But I
Earth
don't
is
think it was
flat.
very mysterious to people before.
Well, to people that believed, because if you look at the Pharisees
I guess
when
that's true.
when
Yeah.
Jesus was here, the Pharisees believed in a flat Earth or biblical cosmology.
Yeah.
Because where was that? I'm trying to remember where it was, where he referenced, or he said to them, he said that they don't they can comprehend the stars and the skies or the heavens or something like that, but you can't comprehend the times. And so when he said that, I'm like, uh, whatever it was, I'm not quoting him, but that he said something like that to the Pharisees that told me that they understood the cosmology at that time. But also in the book of Acts, and in all over throughout the Old Testament, they worship the host of heaven. So they were doing the same type of belief that we're doing right now, where we're believing these planets are a place to go. They're not evil luminaries, is what this world believes. So,
Yeah, that's true.
but yeah, it's one of those things. I think it, like what you, like that verse you brought up, John 3:12, I think it was, about believing.
Yeah.
How are you going to believe the earth, or if you don't believe the earthly things, how are you going to believe the heavenly things? That's what I believe, that I've been learning about ever since I did start believing the earthly things that are written, that the account that Moses gave. And actually, I'm going to read one quick thing out of John chapter 5, because this speaks to believing in biblical, the account of creation, because it says, this is Jesus again, John 5 verse 45. Do not think that I accuse you to the Father. There is one that accuseth you, even Moses, in whom ye trust. For had ye believed Moses, ye would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if ye believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? He's saying Moses wrote my words. And that, so if you're not going to believe what Moses wrote, how are you going to believe what I'm saying right now?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it all has to do with faith. Like these guys here in this, am I pointing the right way? No, I'm not. These guys here that are all cheering on this blasphemy of God's tabernacle,
Yeah.
defiling of God's temple. They're all jumping, hooting, hollering about it. I want to change their mind, but I, like, I don't think that we can change their mind at this point, or they're not going to change their mind at this point. We're going to be gone at the time when they change their mind. They're going to watch us go, and that's going to be one of the biggest witnesses for them to uh, repent and give glory to God, because that's what I believe. When he says, when Jude, or it was actually Enoch, when he said, behold, he cometh with 10,000 of his saints to execute judgment. How are the saints going to come down from heaven with Jesus if Jesus doesn't take the saints up first? And when I say saints, I only mean the ones that believe. So the ones that believe right now are witnesses to the world, because the world can't learn this song. But the result in the end is a multitude standing in heaven because of this song being sung on the earth, is what I'm saying. That's what I believe, is that this song is the reason why there's not only 144,000 people. It's the reason why there should be, if the grace of God didn't come by the revelation of Jesus Christ, and I'm saying that that's flat earth, biblical cosmology, or whatever you want to call it. If he didn't do that, we were condemned already, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what I'm saying is, John 3 verse 18 says, he that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light because their deeds were evil. So, oh yeah, let me keep reading. For everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. So just as Jesus said that they want to kill him because he came and says that their deeds are evil, we're doing the same thing right now. Why do you think people, you know, so many channels and all, why do you think so many people are arguing in kind of a nasty way? You idiots, you guys are so dumb and all this. Well, it's because they hate the light. They hate the truth so much that, like, and that's the thing, it's faith. If a person believes in the heliocentric model, they can't prove there's no proof for earth rotation, there's no proof for curved water, there's no proof for gravity, there's no proof for a lot of these things, yet people are taught that there's proof. But if they really look into it on their own, there's no proof.
And everyone's just regurgitating the same thing because
Yep.
they were initially too lazy to check it out themselves, or they were, yeah, or I would say in the case of like science teachers, they're just saying the same stuff because they heard it so many times, and they're operating under the assumption that someone smart did it, you know. And so there's always, you hear this kind of the cliche statements, oh well, we studied this and we proved this, and they're always saying that they're in this we, but they never.
Like yesterday, that's actually Andrew, the guy that was gonna
Yeah.
I don't know if I sent you a screenshot or whatever, but
Yeah.
he said whatever I was filming Jupiter.
Yeah.
I was like tracking Jupiter and its moons or whatever. And he said something to the effect of, we have sent probes there so we know the distance. I'm like, two things there.
Yep.
Who's this we?
Exactly.
That's one thing. The second is distance can't be measured without a way. Distance, if there's nothing, you can't measure nothing.
Right.
Like if I have a tape measure, which I don't think I do right here, if I had a tape measure, I could measure how big my phone is this way, right? Say it's 5 inches. That's something that I could hand to you, and if you had a matching measure, you'd be able to get the same number. Or you'd be able to take your phone that's the same, style, and yep, that's 5 inches or whatever. That's how we measure. But that's because there's an end. There's an end to the phone and another end. So we have something to measure.
Yep.
But if we have a vacuum, or pretend that there's such thing as a vacuum, and we say we're going to measure something in that vacuum, we're going to measure something we see through that vacuum. How do you know how far it is? Well, because we're going 17,000 miles an hour. Well, what if you're not? What if you're just breaking out of the earth? You're just going orbital velocity so you can tear through that layer that is imprisoning those devils. You tear through that layer, and then now you've entered into what I would call strong delusion. Hell, it's like, I can't even believe that I'm saying this, that space is literally hell. That just sounds wacky to say, if you ask me. But that's what the prophets are saying. That's what Enoch's saying, especially. That the abyss of fire, the bottomless pit, the columns of heavenly fire falling farther than he could comprehend, he said, that place is where those 7 planets are. That's space. That's where they're going. That's their dream, to go there. They're spending $450 billion a year to go there. That's what this world's doing. And that's Babylon. Her sins have reached up to heaven, even to the skies.
Yeah, well, I got a few questions for him when we get on the air, so we're gonna find out.
So that guy's name from Red Pill, his name's Chris, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't watched like every video of his or whatever, but he did some live streams, and I was really enjoying watching because it's fun to see someone being honest and not necessarily uncomfortable. I'm not saying he's doesn't want to say it or something. I'm just saying that anybody who's speaking this stuff or putting it out there, there's this part of it where you're like, man, if I'm saying this stuff's coming back at me, you know, like it. So you're like almost defensive, but it's in a way it's a defensive honesty. Like whatever the truth is, that's what I care about. Like that's you can say that about anything. Don't talk to me, talk to the truth.
Exactly.
Like that. I'm just standing by the truth.
Yep.
But seems like a good
problem
guy.
with people who want to debate. Most people who want to debate want to win the debate.
Yeah.
They forgot that nobody wins a debate. The truth wins the debate.
Yep.
You get two people together and you grind it out and you find out what the truth is.
And I think that's the whole point of the debate too, is whether a person, you know, wants to or not, you know, learn new things. When a debate happens, there's that it creates not necessarily uncomfortable, but it does create the back and forth that's required for people to challenge maybe something is different than they believe or thought or assume, you know?
Yeah.
Because I'm learning that about everything that I've ever known. I was wrong. I have no problem admitting that, or I have no problem saying that, especially at this point. It's a lot harder a year ago or 2 years ago. And then now it's like, I've learned of a new type of creation.
So here's kind of a funny story. So I have a 12-year-old nephew, and you know, I still don't know how my sister feels about this. I guess I don't really care, but he came over one time and he was talking about, I don't know, some science class project or whatnot he was working on in his, you know, he goes to public school. And I was just sitting there. He was talking, I think, to my wife or someone in the room, and I'm just getting nauseous, you know, thinking about this. And you know, none of the rest of my family are believers, and so I'm just thinking about this poor kid. And I finally said, "Well, you know what, Riker? His name's Riker." So he said, uh, ironically enough, you know, Riker, I think he was named, you know, inspired by Commander Riker from Star Trek. But anyway, so I told him about my website. I said, if you can prove that the Earth is spinning in a sphere, I'll give you $5,000. I have a challenge out, you know, for it. So he's been trying to prove that, you know, he's been looking into it, trying to figure out how he could prove. Because he asked me, he's like, you know, Uncle Alan, if I prove that, will you give me 5,000? I said, I sure will. And so,
hey man, so what was that? Zen Garcia was in a court case or something, right?
oh, beautiful, yeah.
That's just something that needs to happen more. I mean,
oh yeah.
I mean, you're offering a thing that's similar to that, where someone could potentially sue you, and that it seems like, hey, I kind of encourage that.
Yeah.
But then you kind of worry about a court being a court like of maybe, you know. But at the same time, maybe that's worth the $5,000. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna say is,
funnier now is even my own daughter now, who's 7, she's now asking the same thing. She's like, if I prove the world's round, you know, and spinning, will you give me 5,000? I said, sure will. So now even she's trying to look into it. I was like, sorry, honey. I was like, you're welcome to start. I encourage you to research all you can, but just going to let you know now, it's really unlikely that's going to happen.
You know, Deboerium showed up in the chat, so I don't know if he
oh, is that him?
Distance through parallax calculus. There is no parallax though. That's just a concept. Anyway, Deboerium channel is in the chat, and Andrew, if you still wanted to come on, that'd be awesome. I sent you in Facebook.
Yeah, he says he's present.
Awesome. I sent you in Facebook a link, and I don't remember if I have your email, Andrew, but if you emailed me at fworld@gmail, I can send you a link in email. That might work.
And while you're waiting, give me about 10 minutes. I'm going to go do something real quick, and I'll be right back.
Okay, cool. I got a few things I can talk about. Well, you know me.
All right. We'll see you.
So yeah, Andrew, if you do want to pop in, you can. I don't know. Sometimes people have trouble going from Facebook Messenger to Google Hangouts. And I don't know, you might be using a phone. It might be hard to do some of that. So I'm going to open up my email and see. I can't remember your email address, but I'll see if I have it. Which I'm guessing I do, but I don't know. Let's see. Maybe I don't. Let's see here. I'm going to see the chat again. Okay. Yeah, if you want to get on, all you have to do is click a link. It's in Facebook. And hey, if anybody else wants to hang out, you're more than welcome. We're just talking about some interesting stuff here. Thank you, Davey313. You're great. Oh, you're loving the camera, Anthony. That's good. One of my favorite things on that camera is the super lapse feature. It's awesome. Okay. Deboerium, Andrew, if you want to, or let's see, I'll put my email in the thing just so you can click on it, or anybody can. Oops. And then if you guys want to hang out in here, it's really easy. Where I just email you a link and you just have to click on the link and then it pops you right in. I forgot I can do all these cool things from being the channel owner or whatever. Yeah, so I got my email ready. So if anybody emails me, I will send you a link. And what was I going to? There was something I was going to show you guys, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but I'll be able to find it. Just give me a moment. Maybe how do I do that? Maybe I can do it like this. I think I can do it like this. We'll try something. I don't know if it'll work. Just while we're waiting for emails and or to come through and stuff. Okay. Bear with me. All right, we got a SpaceX launch.
You there, man? Anyone present? Yo, anyone there? We in?